This Saturday night, the UFA South Division playoffs get underway with a familiar matchup. It's Austin and Carolina meeting in the postseason for the third year in a row. Opening poll scheduled for 7 p.m. as the Soul and Flyers fight for the right to face Atlanta in the South Final. It all airs live on WatchUFA.tv.
Welcome to Durham County Memorial Stadium here in Durham, North Carolina, where we have an exciting matchup between the 4-0 Carolina Flyers and the 3-3 Austin Soul. I am Mike Ball. Joining me here today is Josh Verdure. And Josh, we have an exciting matchup here ahead of us today.
We do have an exciting matchup here in Durham today. Two teams both playing for something on the line. Should be a whole lot of fun to watch these guys go at it.
Yeah, two teams that are expecting to be in the playoffs later this season, and we see here some highlights of one of the leaders of the Soul, Evan Swiatek, just able to do it all. You see him there getting the block, catching a goal here. He's going to be one of those do-it-all guys for the Soul.
You're going to see him on both sides of the disc, just playing a lot for them, kind of filling that place of the heart and soul on their team today.
Yep, going to be somebody who is going to step up big time for them. And on the Flyers, you see longtime veteran of the team, been with them since their first season in the league, Terrence Mitchell. He's another do-it-all kind of player and someone who we can always look to provide us with some highlights.
Highlights, skies, he's going to find his way to a goal, most likely several on the evening.
That's right. As we take a look here at the playoff picture, we talked about these two teams both expecting to be in the playoffs later this season. The Soul played in Atlanta last night, lost to the Hustle, which could see a rearrangement of those two seedings there. But Flyers 4-0 this season, including wins over both the Hustle and Soul. They've taken a commanding lead in the South Division, in first place right now. And we were talking with Coach Najee before the game for the Soul, and he pointed out that if they want any chance at the 2 seed this season, this is kind of a must-win game for them.
Absolutely. He said they're going to play for something that's a lot bigger than themselves today, and if they can get 48 minutes of effort,
players in, they offer a variety of
talking to him, do have a key injury to report on that team. Mark Evans, who's described by Coach Najee as kind of the heart and soul of that team, someone who plays a very important role for the Soul, particularly on offense. Broke his wrist last night in Atlanta and is going to be needing surgery as soon as tomorrow. So we send our best to Mark Evans and hope for a quick and speedy recovery for him. But that's going to kind of shift some things around for the Soul. He plays a big role for them on offense. Talking with Coach Najee, he's kind of the guy that, common tactic in the UFA is, the rolling poles out of bounds. And Mark was one of the first players to feel comfortable picking up the disc for them. And so if we see that strategy from the Flyers here tonight, it'll be interesting to see who fills that void for them. But just a player who overall plays a big role for Austin, and it's going to provide an opportunity for some different players to step up.
Absolutely. Everything looks great there down on the field. Not really much wind anymore. It is a little toasty out here in North Carolina today. I know we both got some sun out of the place earlier. Now we're up on the roof.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's going to be the Flyers starting on defense. We see William Coffin there with the disc, ready to unleash the first pole. One of the better polers in the league, and someone who will set this Flyers defense up for success here as we get ready to get started. And we'll get our first look at this Austin O-line and see what they look like after a tough loss in Atlanta last night. It's one of the tougher things to do on these weekend road trips is, you kind of build yourself up for one game and then have a little bit of a reset, and then you have to get hyped up again. So let's see if the Soul can get off to a quick start as we see the pull go up from Coffin, aiming to pin the Soul on their front cone of the end zone. So we see the disc being tapped in here. Maybe some miscommunication on the placement there as we see Jacob Kaplan with the disc. Getting things started to Hankey, who gets it off of that line. Radak with the disc. Radak, someone who's been an all-star in the past for the Soul and put up big numbers, but struggled against the Flyers. They have several players who feel very comfortable with that matchup. Radak, someone we've seen struggle to get going in past matchups, and if the Soul want to have a chance here today, they're going to need him to step up big. As we see him with the disc here, he uncorks one deep. It's to Swiatek. It's hanging. It's floating. And Swiatek's not going to be able to reel that in, just going a bit too far there, coming from Radak, and that's the first turnover of the game for the Soul.
An absolutely huge throw there, about 70-yard forehand into the end zone, just a bit too far. We get our first chance at a break.
See the Flyers D-line offense, and Coffin sees Henry Fisher going deep. Fisher's got steps and is able to elevate, comes down with the disc. Simple continuation there to Grayson Sander, and Henry Fisher and Grayson Sander, two players we've seen on the offense for the Flyers in the past, getting it done for the D-line there as the Flyers open with a break.
And the floodgates opened early there for the Flyers on the turn. 2 throws, and they are in for a goal to go up a break and also up 1-0 in tonight's game.
Yeah, quick start there. I mean, no messing around about it. That's a 3-throw break for the Flyers. And Austin are a team that will turn the disc over. They are currently just 17th in the league this year, averaging about 20 turnovers per game. Flyers, on the other hand, are sitting 7th in the league right now, averaging just about 15. So Flyers a little stingier with the disc, but even that being said, the Soul are 2nd in the league in hold percentage, holding on about 73% of their O points. So typically playing really good defense. As we see one of the best pulls maybe I've ever seen in the UFA, Josh. Just an incredible pull to the back corner of the end zone there.
I mean, he was absolutely pinned on the pylon. They got it off quickly, so that's a great job by the Soul to get that disc off. And it was screaming trouble there for a second, but now they're running through their offense.
A little bit of a different looking group out here. We see Duncan Fitzgerald with the disc right here. Bounces it up. Floaty throw there from the Soul, but able to come down with it is Radak. Radak boosting it up the line. It pops up, and it is absolutely swallowed up on defense there by the Flyers. It was going to be a tough throw anyways, but that window just wasn't there, and rookie John Wellers is able to gobble that disc up.
John Wellers eyed that up from the throw, baited that upline throw, timed it perfectly, and sent it out the back of the end zone.
Radak with his 2nd turnover of the game already. As we see Sander gets the disc up the line to Weaver. Weaver with it here. Bounces it off the line. Clint McSherry is able to continue that to Matt Tucker. Matt Tucker with the disc now to Fisher. Looks like a bump on the play there. He's going to give a few free yards to Fisher. And another bump there, maybe a bit embellished by Fisher, making sure the official saw it, but that's going to center the disc on the goal line for the Flyers. You see the double team settle in, and Fisher able to just step out with the easy lefty backhand. That's the same connection we saw in the first break. Another assist for Fisher, another goal for Sander, and another break for the Flyers.
Well, Mike, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they went right back to that same connection, like you said, for their 2nd goal of the game. 3 minutes in, the Flyers are looking solid on defense.
Yeah, we get another look at that block there from Wellers, leaving his feet just to ensure that he got the extension needed here. We see Fisher on the goal, does a really good job of on the tap in, quickly breaking the mark before they can get settled. And you see in the background there some hanging heads from the Soul. 2 breaks to start, digging themselves a hole early. They need to get settled and find a hold before this game gets out of their grasp early.
Yeah, and I feel like it has to happen on this point here. Get your mind right. You played last night. Your legs got to be a little tired, but you can get going. Body's got to get warmed up. Let's lock in here.
A relatively average pull out of Coffin there, setting some high standards for himself, but pretty quick offense moving from the Soul here. Already almost midfield is Hankey, and Hankey unleashes one. He's got his target going deep. The throw is hanging. Fisher's able to run it down. What an incredible grab. Is he going to be ruled in? He is. What an amazing grab, elevating through contact and finding the footwork to toe the back of the end zone. That is absolutely tremendous there for Austin, and exactly what the doctor ordered.
If we're going to take a look at this right here, the way he's able to get his toes down, that's number 3, Mark Hankey. and he toe taps what appears to be right on the line. Tough angle for us there. The observer here, official here, calling him in. What a grab with the defense all over his back, throw floating. What a catch.
Yeah, see the Henke brother connection there. We'd have to see another angle to see if those feet did in fact get in. It was very close. At minimum, a tremendous effort from Mark Henke there, and his brother Kyle putting it out there and letting his brother make a play. And you know, sometimes that's what you got to do to stop the bleeding. We'll get another look at it here as the disc is live. Flyers are just swinging the disc, so you're not missing anything, folks. As we see, it looks like that left foot comes down in. I can't tell if the right foot came down first or not, but exceptional effort from Henke as we're back to the live action here. The Flyers already across midfield as it was a roller pull out of bounds from Austin. We see Bloodworth with the disc, working it quickly. Flyers have it on this near sideline. That's number 11, Alan Laviolette, working it up to Terrence Mitchell. Terrence navigating the double team. A lot of length in that double team. Really opportunistic there from the Soul. We see a poach come across trying to snag that little inside shot there, but Junks is able to navigate it quickly and bounces it to Elijah Long, just really forcing what was a closing window. Wasn't really there, and understandably ends up turfing the disc. And now the Soul, as we see Fairfax leave his feet to try and get the disc back, but the Soul are off and running now, already across midfield trying to get their first break of the game.
Didn't feel like a necessary throw from Elijah Long. Just kind of turfed it, and the throw goes up to the end zone.
Oh! An absolute poster there from the Soul. That's number 54, Mason Zetch, a rookie on this Soul team, getting up over Terrence Mitchell. We are not used to seeing Terrence on that side of the poster, Josh.
It's not often that Terrence is losing in the air, but what a grab from Mason Zetch. We're going to see it again here. And we'll see the turnover, and it most likely followed by the goal, but that throw never had a chance from number 45 there, Elijah Long.
Yeah, you can see he almost gave up on it before it even came out of his hands. You see just a trust ball going up there, but Zetch is able to elevate and come down with it. Caught that with just a couple of fingers. Didn't have much room to spare there. Talk about peaking, high pointing the disc. He absolutely caught that one at his apex and comes down with the huge break for Austin.
Yep, and they needed it. And just like that, we are knotted up at 2, and the Flyers are going to get a look at their offense.
We see a tremendous pull there bouncing to the back of the end zone. Xander Wilcox with the disc here. Young man out of Duke. You see Bloodworth trying to take off deep, creating huge throwing lanes here are the Flyers. Excellent offense. Grayson Sander with the disc here. Trying to continue it up the line, is unable to find his target there. But it looks like we're going to have a foul called on the play. Not sure if it was on the throw or on the catch, but number 41, Oliver Fay, leaving his feet there to try and get that block. Coming up, really got the block. I'm not sure if the foul was on the throw or on the catch. Given the fact that Trevor Lynch is the one with the disc, I believe it was ruled to be on the catch. As we see just a burner of a cut from Grayson Sander, leaves his feet full extension and comes down with it. And Grayson Sander just can't stop scoring right now, Josh. He catches his 3rd goal of the game, the Flyers' 3rd goal of the game. And just like that, the Flyers get the lead back 3-2.
Well, Mike, I guess when it rains, it pours. And Grayson Sander up to 3 goals, 3 for 3 for the Flyers. Let's keep it running. What an absolute dart of a throw with a layout grab. Flyers get their hold up 3-2.
Yeah, Trevor Lynch asking a lot there from Sander. Definitely the most difficult of Sander's 3 goals so far, but he is absolutely filling up the stat sheet. You know, first 2 were breaks, and then the O-line gets broken. They bring him across, and he helps them get the hold. Sander, early showings as we're not even halfway through the first quarter, but looking like the most valuable player on the Flyers so far today.
No doubt.
See another hanging pull go up here. Great hang time, lets the defense get down there before the disc can even get out of the end zone. As the Soul moving across to Fitzgerald, maybe more to the sideline than Fitzgerald would have liked. But comfortably bounces it off the line to Bowman. Bowman continuing the disc around to Potts. Potts to Switek. Switek, haven't really said his name too much early on. I know there was a turnover trying to throw to him. But Switek been silent so far. We'll see if he finds a way to get involved here as Kyle Hankey comes to get the under, and he uncorks one deep to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's tracking it, as is Weaver. Weaver goes up for it, but he's unable to come down with it as Fitzgerald with the spike and stare down lets him know it. Hankey with another assist, and Fitzgerald comes down with his first goal of the game.
And the Soul with a lot of trust in their team, seemingly scoring off of these throws that are heavily contested in the air. Nonetheless, it continues to work out. What a nice grab there from Duncan Fitzgerald. Again, doing a really good job at high pointing on this.
Fitzgerald's somebody that we're more used to seeing in the handler space, but breaking deep there, and you know, it's important to have that versatility, not allowing your matchup to lock in on you in one part of the field and making them respect you for the full length of the field. As you see Weaver trying to elevate there to get that disc, and Fitzgerald letting him know about it afterwards. Something to watch there. Two players who, you know, have a fiery competitive spirit that aren't afraid to mix it up a little bit. If those two keep getting matched up on each other, we might have some fireworks in store.
And I've got no problem with that. I love a little friendly competition here and there. You know, keeps energy up, and it honestly a lot of the time makes you play a little bit harder too, knowing that maybe this guy's got your number and you're going to show him why you should.
Yeah, every player's got a little bit of pride just innately as athletes and as competitors, but anytime it becomes less about a team matchup and a little one-on-one, a little personal, everybody's got a little extra fire they can fire.
We've all got an ego, right, that we need to fill.
Sure.
So let's take it out on the field. And I think it stays clean, family friendly.
Listen to my announcement at the end of the quarter.
Looks like we had a timeout there from the Flyers, just taking a moment to, you know, catch themselves, compose themselves, get out there. The last time the traditional O-line was on the field, they got broken. So making sure that this group is ready to go out there and get the hold and make sure to retain this one-break lead that the Flyers have so far. Two teams that are among the cleanest in the league on offense. Flyers 4th in the league in hold percentage, Austin 2nd in the league in hold percentage. So for us to have 3 breaks in the first 6 points is a little uncharacteristic for both of these groups.
I would agree. It does feel like an anomaly, and I imagine as this game goes on, they're going to clean it up.
Ready for the pull to go up here from Austin. Big spinning blade coming in. Going to be fielded by Long. Centered up to Wilcox. Wilcox, a player in his 2nd year with the Flyers, played a primarily D-line role last year. As we see Fairfax airing one out to Bloodworth, who had a few steps and has the better read on the disc there. Great throw from Fairfax, fading to where Bloodworth's defender couldn't find it. And now the Flyers in the red zone. Laviolette finding himself in acres of space. Fairfax exploding that front cone, but gets pumped off.
Narwhal's patient, despite the big shot.
See Laviolette with the nice inside flick to Wilcox, and Wilcox pops one up a little bit for Mitchell, but Mitchell elevating with no problem, making it look like that's exactly where he wanted that disc to go as he springs up for the grab, and the Flyers get the clean hold.
No problems there for Terrence Mitchell, reeling that one in, securing his first goal of today's game. Here we're going to see that throw from Jacob Fairfax to Bloodworth. Really nice job putting it deep into space. No one else really had a chance at it.
Yeah, as we see Wilcox here catching the disc. I was starting to make a point about him before. This is his 2nd year with the Flyers, and he was kind of marshaling one of the D-lines last year. One of the bigger arms on the team, just really able to hit parts of the field that some throwers just can't. And seeing him get the trust of this Flyers coaching staff to move over to an O-line role and continuing to be that center handler, showing a lot of trust in a young player and getting these reps. Oh, as we see a dropped pull. It looked like for a second that Bowman was going to try and play it off like he saved it with his ankles, but that is a dropped pull, and now we see Yannick with the disc on the goal line. Flyers on the doorstep, and Yannick just popping up a blade. Looks like that's to number 19, Cooper Williams. Yannick to Williams, and after what was looking like some pretty clean offense from both sides, just the most brutal of drops there with a dropped pole.
It's obviously something that just simply can't happen. We're going to see it again. Let's see if we can get a close look at it here on the dropped pole. Unfortunately, we're not able to, but that looked about as down as it could be. So, unfortunate error there for the Soul. Flyers take advantage.
And that's now, in 8 points, we have 4 breaks. Just, you know, it's not what we expected to see. I know we kind of said that already, but it's uncharacteristic for these two O-lines. And we know the Soul are dealing with the loss of Evans, so that's probably causing a little bit of a continuity issue for them. But they've got a lot of good players that should be able to step up into that role, and we expected better from them than this. As we see Coffin just baiting that around throw and exploding on the under before laying out to get that block. Just textbook defense there from Coffin, and now the Flyers with just 20 yards to go for yet another break.
Well, now about 35 yards as they back up on their opening pass, swinging the disc around amongst their handlers.
Yeah, this D-line group looking real comfortable, moving the disc backwards to get the right angle of attack for themselves. So we see another break opportunity, and it's looking like a timeout is going to be called by Coach DeNardis. Maybe smelling a little bit of blood in the water and wanting to get the right Sharks out there to attack. And, you know, the D-line group did their job by forcing that turnover and getting that block. And now it's going to be an O-line coming out to finish off the break. But what a play from Will Coffin.
Complete horizontal layout. They did that throw really, really well, using that sideline as the extra defender. What a play to get the turn in a dangerous spot here now. The Flyers about 30 yards away from punching this one in.
Little annoying.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get another look at that at some point. But, you know, the extra width on a UFA field allows for some of those bigger floatier throws out to space. But what you're going to see here is what happens if one of those floatier throws just isn't thrown into that space just enough. You know, there's a lot of space out there which baits Radak to make that throw, but if you don't execute it to the correct shoulder, an athlete like Coffin's going to punish it. And that's Radak's 3rd turnover of this game. He's got to get it cleaned up if this Soul team is going to crawl back into this game. But now the Soul got to play some defense, see if they can force a turnover to prevent this break. Elijah Long with the disc, finds Youngst. Youngst continuing it to Fairfax. Fairfax has Bloodworth. As we see a bid there from his defender, but the bid comes up empty-handed as Bloodworth is able to get the hold off of the assist from Fairfax, and that is yet another break for the Flyers.
Not the greatest throw from Fairfax there, made it a little bit more challenging than maybe it needed to be. But nonetheless, Bloodworth able to get in there. Just kind of gave the defender a chance, but Bloodworth able to come down with it.
Yeah, Joey Wiley trying to get the block there, see if he can save the goal for Austin, but unable to come down with it. You know, we were talking before about floating throws to space and attacking the right space. I think that is an example of, you said it, Josh, not the best throw, not the most perfectly placed throw, but missed to the correct space, missed to the outside where the defender couldn't go get it. So that throw is able to be completed, whereas the miss to the inside shoulder was gobbled up. So as we see Radak with the disc here, continues it to Hankey. A little bit of a zony look from the Flyers, but they break out of it pretty quickly. Looks like Austin flirting with a little bit of a dominator, but already now getting the downfield cutters involved. So we see a mix-up of some personnel. Number 21, Elliot Moore, is back out there.
Leave that as a pick.
After having played the last D point, he's someone who's typically on defense, but is crossing over to play offense for the Soul as they seek to find a group that's going to be consistent for them.
And the Soul no doubt doing that, trying to keep their legs as fresh as possible. Number 43, Joey Wiley.
As we see the aforementioned Moore with the disc here. Just bouncing it off the line to Wiley. Wiley continuing it out to space. Hankey gets horizontal to save possession.
He's been doing that since his college days.
See, the Soul just struggling to connect multiple cuts in a row at this point. As we see the hut go up to Swiatek. Swiatek sealing off Fisher beautifully there. Just a perfect throw from Elliot Moore to Swiatek, and Swiatek uses his positioning to box out the bigger defender and get the hold for the Soul.
The route that Switek took to gather in the disc was very impressive, giving up a lot of height to Henry Fisher, but able to seal him off and then get to the space where only he could catch it. It was very impressive disc tracking there from Evan.
Yeah, almost intentionally taking a suboptimal line at first to pull Fisher on that line with him, and then sealing him out and adjusting to make the grab. Just really savvy stuff there from Switek to pull down that hold. And we saw the crossover from Elliott Moore, typically a D-line player, moving over to offense there, and he gets the assist. We'll have to keep an eye out to see if that's a change that holds for Austin for the remainder of this game, as they continue to find a group that's going to work for them. But they've got work to do on this side of the disc as well, as they have a couple of breaks to pull back. As we see the pull, struggling to field it was Long. And now Wilcox starting within the middle of the end zone, back to Long here. Flyers are going to have a full 100-ish yards to go in order to get their hold. Long wiggles free for the up line as we see the bid there from Austin. Comes up empty-handed. Flyers showing good patience here, but almost a turnover there. Nice diving save from Wilcox as he uncorks a flick. And it does not have the necessary hang time for Laviolette to track it down, and now Austin with a chance to pull back one of these breaks.
Just felt like Wilcox rushed that throw a little bit when he may not have had to. Nonetheless, a turnover for the Flyers, and the Soul able to push back on offense here.
Soul on the sideline.
So with the blade into the middle of the field, just too lackadaisical there from number 50, Matthew Armour, floating it over the intended target's head. Kind of surprised we didn't see a timeout there from Coach Najee to get a stronger group on the field there to make sure that the break is converted. But now the Flyers have the disc again. See if they can get their hold as Bloodworth with a huge gainer to Fairfax. It's a little low, forcing him to go down for it, but he gets the disc. Laviolette has it now.
20 seconds. We do need to count
Floats it
down.
around along. Just under 20 seconds left in this quarter. So we see if the Flyers just punch it in, and it looks like they're going to. Bloodworth to Fairfax with 10 seconds left in the quarter. A brief scare for the Flyers there, but they are able to get their hold.
And the Flyers are now up 7-4 with 10 seconds to go. I enjoyed watching them just play their game through that last 45 seconds and not trying to get too cute to do something too special to prevent a possession from the Soul. I'm a believer in playing that way, and you're going to see the throwaway here from Wilcox. Just felt rushed, was not into space, and just harmlessly falls to the ground.
Yeah, and we got now with just 10 seconds left here in the quarter, a little bit of a jump disc situation coming. 11 seconds now, they put a second back on the clock. Time for a few throws from Austin, but they can't take too much time here. We'll see how the Flyers choose to play it, if they choose to throw something deep and make Austin work the long length of the field, or if they try and go for the positional play on a sideline. We'll see a towering pull here from Coffin. To the back middle of the end zone. Clock has started for Austin. 7 seconds left. Work it into the middle. It's going to be an uncontested throw, but bit of a pop up there from Radak. This isn't even going to make it to the end zone. No need for people to get involved here, but Henry Fisher happy to come in and clean up the block anyways, just to make sure. And that's going to do it for the end of the first quarter. Bit of a tough start for Austin here, as they face an early 3-goal deficit here in Durham, North Carolina. We're going to take a quick break here, throw it to some ads, but we'll be back with more action here from Durham County Memorial Stadium, where the Flyers currently lead 7-4.
This Saturday night, the UFA South Division playoffs get underway with a familiar matchup. It's Austin and Carolina meeting in the postseason for the third year in a row. Opening poll scheduled for 7 p.m. as the Soul and Flyers fight for the right to face Atlanta in the South Final. It all airs live on WatchUFA.tv.
Welcome back to Durham, North Carolina, here at Durham County Memorial Stadium, where we are coming to you live with second quarter action between the Carolina Flyers and the Austin Soul. Flyers taking an early 7-4 lead on the back of 4 breaks in the quarter. Just a dominant performance early on from the Carolina defense, Josh.
And the Soul haven't made it easy on themselves either, throwing into highly contested spaces, some unforced mental errors. Just doesn't feel like they could get anything compounding in the positive direction. They did early when they tied it 2-2, but then the Flyers closed out that quarter on a 5-2.
Yeah, and even the holds that Austin was getting were deep shots that were forced into coverage where the receivers had to make a play. Very little felt easy for the Soul in that first quarter. And, you know, we talked about the personnel change, the unexpected loss of Mark Evans, and how he's kind of a linchpin for their offensive group. And, you know, Coach Najee talking about how there was going to be some adaptation needed for that unit. But they have to find a way to string together multiple cuts in rhythm and find some easy holds for themselves. They can't keep relying on the contested deep game if they want to claw back into this. But we're going to start with the Flyers on offense here. As we see the Soul coming down. Wilcox is going to boost one early to Bloodworth, who has tremendous separation from his matchup as Wiley just with no regard for his own well-being, leaving his feet there, but unable to get the block. And now the Flyers with less than 20 yards to go for the first hold of the second quarter. Now working backwards a little bit here as they try and find the correct point of attack.
Back and forth with number 8, Terrence Mitchell.
Mitchell finds Fairfax.
Mitchell worked really hard to develop his skills over the years. He's not known for that one.
It looks like there's going to be a foul there on the mark. Austin, a team that's not afraid to be physical in a positive way. Haven't seen anything excessive from them so far, but a few little bumps on the mark that the refs have punished with giving some free yardage. We see Laviolette trying to bite off enough to get the goal to Mitchell, and now Mitchell on the doorstep. Long trying to get cheeky with it, but still not able to get in. Now the Flyers a little bit out of sorts here as the stall count rises. And it looks like there is going to be a foul there on Long. Bailing him out a little bit, although he did get rid of the disc to Mitchell. Now he's going to have a fresh 7 here, centered in the end zone. You see the double team coming there to force the disc backwards. Flyers still with it. Working it back now to about 15 yards to go. Yanks with the disc. Doing a good job moving the defense with fakes. Finds Long on the doorstep. And Long sends it up the gut to Fairfax. Elliott Moore crashing in on that. There was some contact there, but nothing dirty as it was just 2 players attacking a space. Both getting in there to try and occupy. We see the 2 dap each other up afterwards. Seems like everybody's good after that. The Flyers, it looked hairy at times, but they are able to get the hold.
I am unsure if I have seen as many passes completed in a 5-yard window than I did on that point right there, Mike. There was at least 5 or 6 that could have been in, that weren't in, that were caught within 6 inches of the goal line. Flyers able to maintain their composure, and it was a cheeky situation and able to punch it into Fairfax.
Yeah, a couple of twinkle toe situations there for the Flyers that they tried to toe the disc in, but eventually getting their hold as you see Trevor Lynch now with the pull for this defensive group. Radak with the disc. Now Radak with 4 turnovers in that first quarter alone. He's got to clean it up if the Soul offense is going to get going. As you see Hankey, miscommunication on a switch from the Flyers. Hankey has his brother wide open. Oh my goodness! Full extension grab there. And that's Reese Bowman with the grab. And the Scoober continuation to Swiatek. That is one of the greatest catches that I have ever seen, Josh. Fading over his back shoulder, full elevation. What a grab from Reese Bowman.
Reese Bowman, mayor of Boomtown, reeling in that disc, landing just short after full extension, right-handed grab on the backside of the disc. To come down with that is so impressive, and to maintain that possession, wow, just what a catch.
Had all the space in the world back there. Hankey setting his teammate up for a highlight, had all the world to throw him into there. Just a tremendous grab from Bowman to save possession there. And look, we talked about how nothing has looked easy for Austin there. That one didn't look easy, but it looked pretty damn cool.
Looked really, really cool, but in no way, shape, or form was that easy. But they got it done.
They all count the same on the scoreboard, and we see pull to the sideline here, kind of trapping the Flyers in as we see the hammer, as Fairfax unable to reel in the hammer from Wilcox, and Austin quickly strikes to get the break. That is Eric Broadbeck finding in the end zone Matthew Armour. And boy, before I could blink, Josh, we got a break here, and now Austin finding themselves with a little bit of momentum.
Maybe an unexpected double team and then a hammer that goes a little too far cross field, which is exactly what the Soul wanted. Able to then quickly pick up the disc and punch in their second goal in under 20 seconds. That kind of felt a little bit like the first quarter where they were able to punch in 2 quick ones after going down 2-0. So maybe, hopefully, riding a wave of momentum, which I believe in,
Sure.
to get back into this game.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so just almost 3 minutes of time has passed here in the second quarter. We've had plenty of fireworks already. You see another big pull go up from Austin to the back of the end zone, long fielding it back to Wilcox. See a little bit of a front wall there from Austin, trying to disrupt any early momentum from the Flyers. Trevor Lynch with a triple cut in the deep space. As we see Young's able to get around the bidding mark, really selling out there. Was Mark Hankey. Mitchell saving possession there. Brief triple team from the Soul, but catch themselves and now trying to reel in. Looking for these double teams in the middle of the field, in the long field. None of them have paid off yet, but they've gotten close a few different times as we see long, huge bid from number 41 there, Oliver Fay. You see this Soul D-line not afraid to put their bodies on the line to try and get a block. Cheeky little foul drawn there from Mitchell, throwing a pump fake into Elliott Moore's arm to draw the contact, earning the reset on the stall. See Laviolette working hard in the isolation space to get open. And now Laviolette boosting it out to the back of the end zone there for Youngst. Youngst is able to run it down. Laviolette with the assist, and the Flyers are able to stop the wave that was coming from Austin and get the hold.
Andrews Youngst made that look real simple. Really good throw from Laviolette, puts it on a platter. Andrews set up his cut really, really nicely there to give himself a lot of space, maybe something that wasn't quite picked up. But his setup there to expose that space was beautiful, and Laviolette finished it off.
Yeah, Youngst and Laviolette, 2 players who getting on the stat sheet for the first time in this game. Players that we've seen gather a lot of stats, fill up the box score in the past. See if they can make their impact felt as this game progresses. See another pull go up here for the Flyers. See if the Soul can find a hold that doesn't require Herculean efforts from one of their cutters. As we see the around is just a bit outside there, and Radak is unable to reel it in. And now the Flyers in the red zone already with a chance for yet another break on this typically stingy Austin O-line. See good defense there on the reset, but Christian Bellis is able to get open, and he's able to continue it into the end zone for number 15, Drew Swanson. Drew Swanson getting his first involvement of the game. Player coming from Chicago to the Flyers and making his impact felt here along with the rookie Bellis.
And again, truthfully, what felt like another unforced error from this Soul offense that was just pretty uncharacteristic, but nonetheless turning it over in a dangerous spot. A lot of their turnovers have come in the red zone for this Flyers team, or if not in it, pretty much right up to it. So making it really easy for this Flyers team to just rack up the break after the break that they have so far.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that'll be attributed as a throwaway or a drop from Radak, but Radak involved once again in another turnover. If that's put on him. That's his 5th of the game. Yet to get involved with a goal or an assist, and just really struggling out there. A player who's put up big numbers against other opponents, but just historically struggled against this Flyers group. Struggling once again in this game. So you see Swiatek with the disc. Up the field to Moore, boosting it out, and that is going to be put on a platter. A little bit of contact there on the contest from Swanson, but that is going to be a goal for the Soul. I think that's number 41, Oliver Fay, running that down. Looked like it was going to be an easy catch, a late bid there from Swanson, making it look more difficult than it was, but we see Moore once again crossing over, a typical D-line player, crossing over for an offensive point, making his presence felt.
Fay doing a really nice job there at sealing out the defense, never really giving them a chance to get involved just based on the route he took to the disc. Something that you can do to seal that defender out is your positioning. It doesn't always have to be one in the air. Sealing them out works just as well.
We got to give a shout out to both Moore and Fay, who played their college ultimate in the D3 division, a division near and dear to my heart. Spent some time reporting on both of those players. They were fantastic in college, and it's great to see them tearing it up at the professional level now. We see the Flyers working the disc patiently, laterally, getting it off the sideline. Bloodworth currently unmarked as Austin works out their matchups here. Comfortable letting Bloodworth hold the disc. He puts it to the sideline to Laviolette. And Laviolette boosts one up to Fairfax. There's double coverage there, but Fairfax able to separate. He elevates, strike the Jordan pose as his leg split and his hand grabs the disc. Coming down with it there is Jacob Fairfax. Laviolette putting it up to him when he wasn't exactly open, but open for Fairfax and open for the rest of us are two very different things.
Two very different things indeed. We're going to take a look at it again. He elevates early and often, before both Soul players even leave their feet. Fairfax is already at his peak, just floating, grabbing the disc. Flyers go up 11-7 with just over 6 minutes remaining in the first half.
Yeah, Laviolette with his 2nd straight assist, finding a rhythm, getting himself involved here as we see Fairfax with his 3rd goal to go with an assist. You see some of the yardage numbers he's racking up there. Been a do-it-all player for the Flyers year in, year out. Someone who just looks more and more comfortable in a bigger role each season and continues to step up for this Flyers team. You see the pull go up here for the Flyers. Big floaty pull here. Going to be easier to catch than some of the others, but gave the defense plenty of time to get down and contest it here. You see Hankey in acres of space. Continues it up the line. To Bowman back to Hankey. Continues it to Radak. Hankey, someone who's been involved as a thrower so far in this game, but historically gets involved on the receiving end as well. See if he can find space for himself here.
Now they're looking for the full width of the field. Hankey there.
He comes back for an under. Uncorks one to the back of the end zone to Swiatek. Swiatek all alone. Not sure how he ended up by himself like that. Flyers defense caught napping as Hankey from this near sideline to the back corner of the end zone puts it on a platter for Swiatek and another hold for Austin.
Just looked like an execution error on the defensive end for the Flyers. Again, not sure how he was able to get his space. He just kind of drifted back there and ended up being in his own zip code. Made it real simple for him to reel in that disc with no defender. In sight, Swiatek now with his first man.
Sweet to see Swiatek catching his breath there after the big sprint for Austin. Looks like we do have a timeout on the field. If this timeout was called, it would have had to be by Austin, as we did see the Flyers utilize both of their timeouts in the first quarter. Always interesting to see when to use these timeouts for these coaches. Do they want to use them to make substitutions? Do they want to use them to buy their players just a little bit of extra rest in between games? There's benefit in between points, rather. Benefits to both, Josh. I don't think there's one right answer. It's just on these coaches to feel it out.
And I think these coaches are definitely going to have two different objectives with their timeouts right now. With the Soul coming off of a game last night in Atlanta, they may be a little bit more strategic in trying to use them to catch their breath rather than getting what's already tired legs for more tired legs out on the field, whereas the Flyers may be using it to get a D-line off the field for an O-line. We'll see how that strategy continues as so far. That's what it's been.
Yeah, we see the Austin players there huddling under the shade tent. It is a scorcher here in Durham today. Temperatures up in the 80s. Trying to stay cool. You know, Austin, Texas, they're used to a little bit of heat, but you know, heat is heat. It's still miserable to play in.
No doubt, and it looks like we are about to get back underway here as we are now under 6 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
You see Austin here getting ready to pull.
It's all set to pull.
Pull goes up
Number
here
7,
from Jake Reinhardt. Big blading backhand. Fielded by Elijah Long, center to Wilcox. Sander Wilcox.
Lots of space in the middle field.
Uncorks a big flick to Terrence Mitchell, who has a few steps and has the better read there on Reinhardt, able to come down with it. Mitchell looking for an option, though. Stall count is rising. He is able to get rid of it to Laviolette, and Laviolette continues it into the end zone for Youngst. Laviolette and Youngst get the stats there, but the work on that point was all Wilcox to Mitchell, as Wilcox booms one out into space for Mitchell, who elevates and comes down with it, and then Laviolette and Youngst get the payoff at the end.
And we're going to take a look at it here again. Nice throw from Wilcox into space, allowing Terrence Mitchell to use his speed and athleticism to run that down. Got a little dicey there for a second. Wasn't sure if anybody was going to be able to come support as that stall count was rising, but we see Laviolette getting another hold to Anders Youngst. Flyers go up 12-8.
Yeah, we talked before about Wilcox and his arm strength being able to access all parts of the field and make cuts to every space viable. And you saw that they're out of stagnation. There's no flow, there's no rhythm to that. Just out of stagnation on a pull play, able to throw a hook almost end zone to end zone. And that forces the Soul defenders to have to guard tightly everywhere. They can't be strategic with funneling or poaching into certain spaces. They have to respect every corner of the field when a thrower like Wilcox has the disc.
Looking for a bailout pretty quick here.
You see Austin struggling to get out of their own end zone. Hanky with the disc now.
Through the middle, looking, they got a runner, but the stumble.
Up the gut there, number 18, Jacob Kaplan, struggling to get it.
Number 20, Jackson Potts with the bid. Called field, but integrity call.
Looks like there was a down call maybe initially, but the integrity rule used by the Flyers there to overturn it and rule the disc up. But the next throw from Potts is too far out of reach for Bowman. And that's going to be a turnover for Austin and another break opportunity for the Flyers as Yannick picks up the disc.
Yeah.
You see this defensive group from the Flyers. Yannick, someone in the past who's been center handler for the O-line, playing D-line this year. Trevor Lynch, another player who's got O-line experience for the Flyers. And it looks like there's going to be a timeout called by the Flyers. So I think we might be missing some information here, Josh, because I think we attributed a timeout to the Flyers in the first half. That might have just been a heat timeout in the middle of the quarter. We saw that this quarter as well, just under the 6-minute mark, another stoppage in play. So I think the Flyers just used their second timeout of the half. Teams get 2 per half. So we're now back to a level understanding here of where the timeout situation is and who's been calling it. So Flyers using this opportunity now to get their O-line out there to try and convert another break, build this cushion a little bit. As we're about 2/3 of the way through the second quarter, just under 4 minutes left. Flyers already with a 4-goal lead, looking to try and extend it and create an even bigger cushion for themselves in this first half.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it had to be a heat timeout. I guess they're doing one per 6 minutes.
I don't know.
But we are back underway here.
I know you
See Wilcox with the disc.
All right, we're back in.
Tries to swing it around to Youngst, but it's too wide for Youngst to come down with. And now the Soul, with a D-line group out there, going to see if they can convert this hold with a group that's going to make it feel like a break, and the Flyers O-line now with some work to do to try and prevent that from being the case. You see Austin with the disc here. That's Joey Wiley. Works it to the far sideline to Reinhardt. Reinhardt with the disc. And it looks like a travel was called as it's going to come back.
3:15 remaining, probably contact.
Reinhardt now with the disc.
This cannon's number 7, Jake Reinhardt.
Bounces it back to Wiley. Austin struggling to find momentum. Armour bounces it around to Moore. Moore on the doorstep. We've seen him throw a few assists for the O-line. Can he convert one here for the D-line? Instead, bounces it back to Wiley, who continues it around. Austin on the other doorstep now, and that's going to be Fay to Wiley. That's going to be technically a hold, Josh. That's one of those holds that feels like a break.
That was a marathon of a point a little bit there, but the Soul nonetheless able to get their hold after exchanging turnovers, punching it in to keep it to 3-goal deficit.
Yeah, that's a brutal outcome there for the Flyers. You use the timeout to get your O-line group out there to try and get some steady hands and make sure that the break gets converted, and instead, first throw out of the timeout, not even a completion from their O-line before they're right back to being on the defensive side of the disc. And if you're one of those D-line players that got subbed out on the timeout, you're looking at that play and thinking, I could have done that.
You're pretty darn upset about that, because as D-line players, you don't get nearly as many opportunities to get your hands on the disc in a scoring way. But yeah, that's a tough play. The throw to start their motion was not completed.
Good defense from the Soul to make that the case, as we see the pull going up here from Austin. Goes to the back corner, the end zone there, but not with enough hang time. And Long is able to get the disc moving. Grayson Sander crossing over for this O-point here. We've seen him be impactful on both sides of the disc. Bloodworth calling his shot. Austin just not respecting that throw at all. Lets Laviolette run free deep. Great throw from Bloodworth. He's someone we typically see on the receiving end of those throws. He and Laviolette maybe switching roles a bit there, but Bloodworth more than capable of making that throw as he so smoothly displays right here.
No doubt. He smelled blood in the water, and he sure made it worth it. Laviolette in his own space in the end zone. Great throw. Nowhere near a chance to contest it.
Laviolette with his first goal of the game to go with 3 assists, and he's starting to fill up the stat sheet there. He's someone who was on the Flyers championship team a few years ago before getting hurt one season and then moving away for another season. And the Flyers definitely missed him on offense, missed his versatility, missed his ability to kind of be a connector between the handlers and the cutters and playing that hybrid role. You see a pull to the back edge of the end zone. Going to force Austin to go a full 100 yards in order to get their hold as they start in the back here. Kaplan with the disc. Finds Radak. Radak has a couple cutters going deep, but they cut each other off, so now nobody's open. Switek working hard to give a bailout option to Radak. Big cut there from Jackson Potts. Gets the under. Pops it around to Bowman. You might hear our PA announcer, Luke Mead, chanting for the Narwhals here. This is Narwhals night for the Flyers. The Flyers, when they were trying to originally decide their name, the Narwhals were one of the finalists for the potential name before they settled on the Flyers for their franchise's name. But Narwhals, a kind of a running meme in the community for the name of this team. And the organization embracing it with a Narwhals night here, as we see stall count was rising there for Austin, and although Hankey did find a bailout hammer, Coach Najee didn't like what he saw and decided to step in, called the timeout before possession could be turned over. Can't take those timeouts into the second half with you. He had 2 of them to burn with just 1:15 left in the quarter. Makes sense for Coach Najee to use one here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a turning point in the game. To keep it to 3 is manageable. You start to go down to 5 or 6 before this half is over. It just gets that much more difficult. So this point, although it is going to hopefully cut it to 3 for the Soul, is paramount for the rest of this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a Captain Obvious thing to say, Josh, but giving up a break right there, if that bailout hammer didn't work and it turns into a turnover and then the Flyers have, you know, a minute 15 to punch in a break, difference between a 5-goal game and a 3-goal game, I mean, when you can only score one at a time, that's a massive difference here. And also something for just a mental state, a positivity perspective, something that you want to manage here as we see action gets going again here. Looked like the two teams maybe not the most ready for it, but that works out to Austin's advantage as we see Wiley here. Looked like a bit of a travel, but he got away with it. Now Austin with less than 20 yards to go as we see, we'll call it an ambitious bid from Swanson there against Hankey. It does look like there's a foul here that's going to center the disc. You see Austin in their own area code there. Armour is able to find Radak, and Radak finally getting a positive involvement on the stat sheet. It's been a brutal first half for him, but he manages to find the goal there from Armour. And Austin rather, looking like a well-called timeout there as they are able to get the hold.
Well called and well executed out of the timeout. That was a big difference there. The Flyers unable to execute out of their timeout call. That led to a hold for the Soul. Then the Soul get a chance to get a break, and they get one right back with another proper use of timeout from Coach Najee, keeping it to within 3.
Yeah, and now an interesting situation here. This is where a lot of the game management of the UFA comes into play. 47 seconds left in this half. Flyers have the disc here. If you're the Flyers right now, at worst, you need to be going into this half with a 3-goal lead. The worst thing you can do is turn the disc over here and let Austin pull it to within 2. If you're Austin, if you can even just stall out the time here and keep this to 3, that's going to be massive. So both teams really trying to manage this end of quarter situation as these changes in possession at the end of, or at the start of new quarters can prove pivotal, almost serving as like mini breaks in the flow of the game. As we see Laviolette throwing it up the same lane to Fairfax. I mean, that cut from Fairfax was directly in a straight line in front of Laviolette, and he threw that with perfect shape, Josh, as he hits Fairfax in stride. And Laviolette coming alive in the second quarter.
Fairfax just ran a go route, and Laviolette puts one up to him 40 yards, 50 yards on a dime in a bucket. Fairfax just said, I'm bigger and I'm faster than you, and I'm going to show you why. And Laviolette is in his bag right now, just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, that's his 4th assist to go with the goal for Laviolette, all in this quarter. And he's filling it up at this point, Josh, and him finding his stride for this Flyers O-line is dangerous if you're Austin. But now Austin, 26 seconds left. They do have a timeout as well, should they find themselves stuck, as we see a ripping pull from Will Coffin that's mishandled. And now Austin is going to have to tap it in on this back sideline. A little bit of frustration maybe with the official trying to get the disc. So we see Fitzgerald with it now. The double team comes. About 20 seconds left now for Austin. Patiently working it off the sideline, but they got to get vertical at some point. We see Swiatek decide that point is now. He airs it out to Potts. Potts is battling. The disc pops up. Potts tries to toe the line. Unable to do so. Matt Tucker with the block. And now with just 6 seconds left, the Flyers get the hammer out to Coffin. Coffin uncorks a backhand. It's going to come up short, though, as we see Austin come down with the block, as that point is going to end with neither team scoring. Some absolute fireworks there to finish off the quarter as we get another look at the buzzer beater block there from from Kaplan. I am exhilarated there, Josh. What an end of quarter that was.
Potts almost able to make a great play on the sideline. Would have been huge for the Soul to cut it to 3 with just a few seconds remaining. Just unable to maintain possession of the disc as he went to the ground trying to keep his toes in. But that will do it for us in the first half right now. Flyers 14, Soul 10.
Yeah, we'll take a look here real quickly at these stats before we send you off to an ad break, as the Flyers you know, a little bit cleaner on offense. Austin able to hold on about half of their points right now, but the Flyers also being clinical and punishing with their break chances. Both teams perfect in the red zone. You see here, Josh, the difference being in the deep space. Flyers a little cleaner with their hucks. The only one not converting is that end of quarter huck there, as we see Austin with a few misconnections.
Yep, no doubt. And the turnover battle is being won right now by the Flyers as well. And like you said, take advantage of it when they can.
We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back with everyone in about, 7 minutes or so. So, go grab some snacks, stretch your legs, use the restroom, do what you got to do, but keep it locked in and join us here for some second half action in Durham, North Carolina. We'll be back with you shortly.
This Saturday night, the UFA South Division playoffs get underway with a familiar matchup. It's Austin and Carolina meeting in the postseason for the third year in a row. Opening poll scheduled for 7 p.m. as the Soul and Flyers fight for the right to face Atlanta in the South Final. It all airs live on WatchUFA.tv.
Welcome back to Durham County Memorial Stadium here in Durham, North Carolina, where we are set to bring you second half action between the Carolina Flyers and the Austin Soul. First half saw the Flyers jump out to an early lead, brief battle back from the Soul, but the Flyers able to maintain that first half advantage as they sit up 14-10. Josh, what stood out to you from that first half?
So the big thing that did stand out to me, Mike, was the defense on the poles actually was the first thing I noticed. It feels like the Flyers are covering their poles better, not allowing 1 to 2 throws to get off quick to allow for positioning. And a lot of those Soul turnovers came early and often in that red zone area for the Flyers. You know, pressure that they were able to create off of some really nice holes we saw from Wilcox and often. So that intensity on just the first throw of the Flyers is where I noticed a distinct difference between these two.
Yeah, that's a great observation. And 14-10, Austin, after, this season having a hold percentage that was second in the league at 73%, only held on half of their hold points in the first half. And one of the things we talked about a lot was just how difficult some of those holds looked for them. And I think your point is a great observation that ties into that, where every single throw is pressure for Austin. Nothing looks easy, nothing looks comfortable, and that starts with even the centering passes. So Austin has to find a way to create bigger spaces for themselves on offense and create more separation to make some of these throws a little bit easier and quit asking for so much from their cutters. As we see first pull go up, fielded cleanly by Duncan Fitzgerald and center to Radak, and we're off and running in the second half. Radak gets the disc back here. He had a tough first half. See if he can find a rhythm here in the second half. Swings it to Swiatek. Swiatek finds the nice under there to Potts. Potts with the disc. Looks off Hankey. Throws just a contorting inside to Swiatek. Swiatek airing it out to Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald in his own area code in that back left corner of the end zone. We saw Fitzgerald break deep once in the first half. He breaks deep again there. Someone we typically see in the handler space, punishing his defender for shading him deep by breaking free as the Soul get what might have looked like their cleanest hold, easiest hold of the game, Josh.
No doubt, Duncan Fitzgerald doing his best high school musical impression and totally breaking free from the defense there. What a great throw from Evan Swiatek, too. Diving right into Duncan Fitzgerald's chest. Made it really simple for him, and a nice conversion on a huck in the opening point of this second half.
Yeah, in the North Carolina area, that fading outside in throw to the back shoulder in that space, it's been called the throw of the future for about 10 years now, a little bit like Dippin' Dots being the ice cream of the future. But saw Austin deploying it there as that throw just goes to a space where defenders can't get to, really throwing the receiver open there. And now the Flyers tasked with responding here to a quick hold. They've got full, let's call it 75 yards to go to get that hold. Tight pressure so far from Austin. Wilcox is able to get the disc. Looks like some feet got tangled in the back of the stack, but No call is made.
Back to Wilcox.
Wilcox gets the disc with momentum, and he airs one out to Mitchell. It's on a bit of a line, and Mitchell is unable to reel it in. Wilcox with his 3rd turnover of the game, just throwing it a bit too far for Mitchell. And now we'll see if this Austin D-line, and a miscommunication there. It's going to lead to the disc being thrown harmlessly out of bounds. Unlucky there, Brandon Dial just moving a little too quickly and couldn't get it dialed in there with his teammate. Now the Flyers have less than 20 to go for their hold.
And another costly turnover for the Soul in what was arguably as close to the red zone as you could get. Flyers moving backwards in an effort to move forwards. Laviolette with the disc now looking to pile on to all the assists he added to in the second quarter.
Yeah, Laviolette really found his stride in that second quarter with 4 assists, and see if he can pick some of that momentum back up here. Fairfax with the disc. Stall count is rising. He's able to find that backhand to the flick side for Long. See Youngs with the disc here. Really good patience here from the Flyers offense, but forced into that patience by some really good pressure from Austin as we see Long airing one out to Youngs, and Youngs hitting a second gear that Mark Hinkey, his defender, just did not have, as we see Long finding Youngs in the back of the end zone, and the Flyers on their second chance are able to get the hold.
And that's a more challenging throw than maybe we're giving credit for. To put the touch on that flick throw to where it just kind of floats out there, doesn't dive off or fade too far right, out of bounds, but not enough pressure that you just rip it into the defense. Really nice touch throw there to Anders Youngs in the back right corner of the end.
Yeah, having to toe that line between driving it enough so the defender can't make up ground, but hanging it enough so that your teammate can run underneath it. It looks like a very simple throw, but it's not as easy as these guys make it look. These are some of the best players in the world, and they're showing you why right there. You see the pole going up for the Flyers, another big hanging pole to the middle of the end zone. You see Hankey with a huge 25-yard gainer, and he rips a flick to Swiatek. It's fading out there to the left. Swiatek is going to have to elevate, and he is able to come down with it through the contact, asking his defender, take me to dinner first next time, just coming down with it through all sorts of contact. You'd have never known it as you see the players dapping each other up after that play. What a grab from Swiatek as we see him come down with the huck here. Really good positioning from Swiatek. We've seen that from Swiatek several times, Josh. Previously it's been to be able to run under it easily, but using it that time to get the positioning to elevate and come down with the disc.
Mike, a cold beer never broke my heart, but Swiatek just broke the heart of Grayson Sander there, trying to make a play on that disc in the end zone. What a grab from Swiatek in the air. Able to land in the end zone about a yard or two in. Great catch.
Yeah, we see Kyle Hankey pick up his 4th assist of the game. You know, his assists, you know, they count as assists for him, but they should be capital goals for his receivers. They're doing him a lot of favors, coming down with some really tough contested catches so far here, but you know, kudos to him for picking his matchups and setting his teammates up for success with these throws. You see the Flyers already to midfield as Bloodworth left unmarked. He rips one to the end zone for Youngs, but there's some help defense coming in over the top. Youngs may be looking for a foul, but I don't know if he was going to come down with that disc anyways. He was thrown into double coverage there, and there wasn't much he could do about it.
Bit of a junk zony look there from the Soul too, causing maybe an unforced error from Bloodworth throwing into double coverage. And we immediately get another turn in the red zone area from the Soul. Flyers hoping to take advantage. It would be a hold, but they miss a chance at a break.
It's a great block from Laviolette, but really just a forced rush, poor decision from Mason Zetch. As we see what looked like a turnover there, but there is a foul call. You see the Austin player pleading for an integrity there. Integrity call from Laviolette was Reese Bowman, but not going to get it. Laviolette feeling like he was fouled there.
8 minutes remaining.
And now the Flyers with the disc. Just a few yards out as we see Bloodworth tried his hardest to throw his second turnover of the point there, but Laviolette just wouldn't let him. As he's able to reel it in, he runs it down to get the goal, and Bloodworth gets the assist, and the Flyers get the hold.
It wasn't pretty. I'm not quite sure what the decision was to throw a 60-degree flick on the same sideline when a very simple swing could have been available, but nonetheless, Laviolette able to track it down. Great play from him. Interesting decision from Bloodworth. We're saying Laviolette on the D there. Nice play, nice positioning. And here we're going to see Laviolette finding Bloodworth. We're going to see the foul.
Now can they get a lead?
Maybe some contact on the throw.
It's always tough with those double teams, right? Because we see the offense a lot of times pivot into the contact to try and draw it. I didn't see a whole lot there, but the ref called it. They've got a better view than we do, Josh, so we're going to trust their perspective on that one. And Laviolette getting the hold. And now just a tremendous pull from the Flyers once again, forcing Austin to work it 100 yards to get their hold. As we see them working it patiently so far. They're about 10 yards outside the end zone. As we see a throw just too high there. Potts is unable to come down with it as that throw got popped up by Armour. And now the Flyers with, let's call it 25 to go for a break. Yannick out there. Christian Bielis trying to float it to Yannick, but throws it too far, and Bielis gives the disc back to the Soul. Multiple defenders involved there to get the disc back, and now the Soul with the full field to go for their hold on the second opportunity.
And that was almost a nightmare for the Soul with another turnover in plus position as the disc goes up huge.
Another outside in throw. Hankey had to adjust his cut in order to get it, but it looks like a travel is going to be called on Radak. I admittedly wasn't watching that time, Josh. I did notice his end of quarter huck early in the game. He did travel on. That one,
it's hard to see. That maybe he drags that back foot. It wasn't called earlier. It's called now. Very, very unlucky. But nonetheless, a travel has been called, and we are getting the disc sent back 70 yards.
So the only thing I'll say on that, and I trust head ref Daniel Wong on that call, but Radak was relatively unmarked there. And even if that back foot slid a little bit, these players are playing on turf. It's difficult to truly keep that foot down. If there wasn't a mark there that was being punished by the travel, I'm not the biggest fan of the call. Like, it needs to be a really obvious bad travel to call it when it's marked. But we see the Soul bouncing back from it here. They've got momentum going as we see Armour throwing it clean across the field to Swiatek. He's once again in his own area code over there. Armour had the turnover earlier in the point, able to atone for his error there, finding Swiatek wide open on the far side of the field, and Austin is able to get the hold.
That's a pretty sweet find from Matthew Armour, being on this close sideline in front of us, able to throw what was about a flick that gained 15 yards but traveled about 60. Pretty gnarly throw into space for Swiatek. We're seeing the turnover there from the Flyers in the goal line. And again, that throw, Mike, I think I agree with you. No one's really near him. I don't think he drags much. Nonetheless, the Soul are still able to take advantage. We're seeing it here. That's a sweet find to space to Swiatek.
Yeah, he threw that disc about 55 yards to gain about 20. I mean, more lateral than vertical, but able to get the hold. And now Austin, you know, they've done their job on offense so far in this quarter. Pulling it back to within 3. Now they need the D-line to step up and see if they can tighten this gap a little bit. Bloodworth gets the disc. He's got Younks running in space, but chooses to holster it and hits Mitchell on the under instead. Austin doing a good job keeping the Flyers on this near sideline, but the Flyers also doing a good job just chewing up yards on that same sideline. You see the stall count rises. They have to go backwards to get it reset. Mitchell with the disc now. Youngst has it again. Youngst with the looping around. Oh, it looked like Mick Walter wanted to pull the trigger on a bid there, but decides to holster, and now Laviolette has it. He'll put it deep if someone gives him the opportunity, and Fairfax does just that. Elliott Moore getting involved, trying to find positioning there on Fairfax.
No contact. Fairfax a little confused.
It looks like there wasn't a call initially, but I think Elliott Moore called it on himself using the integrity rule there. Najee tried to call a timeout if there had been a turn, but since it's looking like possession stays with the Flyers, he's not allowed to call that timeout.
Yeah, no timeout.
Really good battle there for Moore, trying to get the right angle on Fairfax and giving up a few inches there. unable to make the play. And now double team maybe started early. Not really sure what happened there, but if you're Austin, you're going to be frustrated there. You see Moore immediately going to the ref with some frustration. Not really sure what the communication was there, but Fairfax is able to find Bloodworth. They get the hold. A little bit of communication there. Feels a little weird, but you know, a hold is a hold. We get another look here on the replay at Moore fighting for position with Fairfax, and you see Moore immediately doing the integrity hand signals there. It's saying if the ref wasn't going to call a foul, I will.
And it did kind of look like he went through his arm as he was trying to gather in the disc. Felt like a weird couple of seconds down there on the field with communication from the officials calling the foul. They're using the integrity rule. Najee trying to call the timeout. Disc getting centered, disc getting stopped. They felt like they had Fairfax shut down, but then they didn't. And then the Flyers scored. Nonetheless, Flyers are up 17-13, just maintaining, but not growing on this 3 to 4 point lead they've been flirting with.
Yeah, it feels like anything that could have happened in a goal line scenario there did manage to happen. And so for all of that excitement to end with just a hold feels weirdly anticlimactic. So apologies if our energy dropped a little bit there, but to be honest, I think we were just trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
I had no idea what was going on down there, and I hope you guys at home didn't either. Maybe you saw something that we up here did not, but we are good to go. Flyers up 4, 17-13. Bit of a barn burner.
Yeah, and we're seeing
tonight.
What we're seeing right now in the extra minutes between the points. We did get confirmation that they are doing heat breaks at the midpoint of the quarter. Now that point lasted so long that we're down to 4:46 left in the quarter. This break typically comes at the first point under 6 minutes, so we are getting it a little bit delayed here, but both teams getting a chance to catch their breath. And you know, the sun's starting to go down here in Durham. We've got the floodlights turned on, ready for the darkness, and temperature is cooling a bit, but we went down there before the game. Josh has talked to both teams. It is hot down there, so these players deserve this break.
Yeah, we stepped down onto that field, and there was a noticeable 10 to 15 degree difference down on that turf and track area than up here in the stands and in our beautiful air-conditioned booth.
Very appreciative of that. We'll take all the perks that come with this luxurious gig that we've got here, Josh, as we see the Soul offense underway. See, he's out of frame. Kyle Henke, he's getting this under now, but he's been hanging out in the deep space for pretty much the entirety of this point before now getting involved. Able to work it through the double team with the nice lefty. We see Henke running deep.
Nice focus and grabbing number 28, Jackson.
Oh, as we see the throw from Potts, just too wide for Fitzgerald. Potts has missed on a couple of those shots that you would expect him to hit. This one gives the Flyers a chance to work at the full 80 for a break, as we see Weaver throw the fake before hitting Fisher on the under.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a timeout here from Bernardus, and right on cue, swish-a-roo. We've been calling these teams for a while, Mike, and it just felt like he was ready to call a timeout.
Yeah, you can almost feel Coach Bernardus' tension rising, his blood pressure rising as he sees those elusive break opportunities start to slip away. He's not going to let that happen, not when he's got timeouts in his back pocket as he calls one there. Really excellent foresight on your part there, Josh, to see that coming. Get another look at the turnover there. Just a simple open side throw from Potts that you would expect him to connect on. Not much wind to cause that turnover, and just no excuse for it, really. And he was frustrated with himself immediately. I think he knew, but you know, Flyers have let's call it 70 to go for their break. And Austin has broken this Flyers team before. This is on the scoreboard would show up as a hold, but it's going to feel like a break. We saw them do this earlier. The Flyers made a first throw turnover out of a timeout. Let's see if Xander Wilcox struggles there. He's unable to get it out of the double team. Immediately turns it over once again. And now Austin on the doorstep to get a break. They have someone wide open, and there it is. Just like that, another wasted timeout for the Flyers. As we see Jake Reinhardt find big number 99 Josh Dradowski, and another one for the Soul where it's technically a hold, but that feels like a break.
That is a huge win for the Soul, and that's 2 on the game, Mike. That's a great call from you. 8, that is back-to-back timeout, first throw turnovers for the Flyers. Looked like almost no contact, clean hand block, and now the Flyers are scrambling, and they miss the biggest player out on the field, Josh Stradowski, standing in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah, and we talked about how, young Xander Wilcox is seeing a much bigger role this season. He's got 4 turnovers today. He's struggling a good bit. He's been the one who's had both throwaways coming out of the timeouts, and you see the coaching staff sticking with him as he's back out there on this 0 point, but these are the growing pains that come from, prepping a new center handler for your O-line.
Down to Mitchell.
Not proving too detrimental to the Flyers so far, as they do have the 3-goal cushion still, but these are the things that the Flyers will hope that Wilcox is working out before the playoffs arrive and the season's on the line. But we see Wilcox here with it less than 10 yards out, able to use his tall frame to throw the little high release flick. A little bit of footwork there from Bloodworth, but a nice bounce back from this Flyers O-line as they're able to get the hold.
And the Flyers now go up 4, Mike. I feel like it's been 3 to 4 points since about the first quarter. Flyers unable right now to punish and put away this Soul team, but kudos to them. They're sticking around. They're fighting. They lost Mark Evans yesterday, and they are hanging around in this game, still within striking range, not letting it get too far.
And they got broken on the first 2 points of the game, and since then it's been almost a completely even game. I mean, they've really only given up 1 extra break, I think. I'd have to check the numbers on that. But since those first 2 breaks, I think they're only -1 in the break department. But, Coach Najee talked about this game is about, playing a hard 48 minutes, something they can be proud of, building towards the rest of their season and not trying to get too caught up in the result. But these guys are competitive. They're going to want to see a result out of this. They're not going to leave feeling good about how well they played after going down early.
Right.
They're trying to crawl back into this game.
And he had mentioned, this Flyers team is a hard team to beat in one game, let alone on the night of a back-to-back. So, if they're within 2 or 3 in that fourth, it's going to be all out.
See Switehead with the disc here. And we see the 2 cuts going into the same space, and it looks like Reese Bowman just kind of pulled up on his. Matt Tucker is able to get the block, and now the Flyers have a break opportunity.
Nice grab by
See Christian Bielis with the disc. Getting double teamed by Hankey, but Bielis almost not even acknowledging that the double team was there. Finds Cooper Williams. Goes back to Bielis. Bielis with a lot of touches here. Bielis does a lot of good work for the UNC Wilmington Seamen at the college level. Getting a taste of the pro game here as we see Bielis uncork a hammer across the end zone into the wide open waiting arms of William Coffin. What a point for Christian Bielis as he's able to go every other essentially there and gets the payoff with the hammer cross field to Coffin for the break.
Christian Bielis playing in his own world, battling through multiple double teams that I'm not sure he even knew existed. Finding William Coffin on a cross field hammer. We're going to see the turn here. Just a straight run-through block. Cut gets stopped, and that is why you run through your cuts. And there we see the throw from Christian Bielis to William Coffin. Easy grab.
And the last time we saw Bielis on the field, he threw that turnover to Yannick on the far corner of the end zone there and gave up a break opportunity. So to see him come back and his next involvement play with that kind of confidence going every other, that's the kind of resilience you love to see from a rookie making his presence felt on this Flyers team. And good for Bielis to bounce back like that and show why he's getting this kind of trust from the Flyers coaching staff. You see a little bit of a hybrid line from the Soul as we see Elliott Moore crossing over again. You see the shot go up there. What a beautiful throw from Eric Brodbeck. I mean, Oliver Fay wasn't even really open there, but Brodbeck threw it to the perfect space where Fay was going to be the only person to come down with it. As you see the D-line crossovers there paying off with the quick hold for the Soul. Let's get another look at this throw from Brodbeck.
on Instagram at Oakland.
See, Faye is just being smothered there by Matt Tucker, but it just doesn't matter with where that throw was placed. Really good stuff there from the Soul.
That's about the only place that throw could have gone, that it would have been a completion. That was a sweet throw from Eric Broadbeck into space, throwing his receiver open, who, when I saw that go up, I thought there was little to no chance that it ended as a goal, but proved me wrong very quickly.
Yeah, it looked like trouble at first, looked a little overly ambitious, but turns into an easy clap catch goal, and that crossover group from the Soul showing the traditional O-line how it's supposed to look. And now we've got another D-line out here for the Soul. Broadbeck right back out there hustling down on the pole. Faye on the mark now. Fairfax with the disc. Pretty incredible footwork there from Youngs. I think that disc might have been coming back on a foul anyways, but Youngs not putting it in the ref's hands, coming down with it himself. Now getting it off the line on the high stall count to Bloodworth. That's Fairfax. Good pressure here from Austin so far, but crisp offense from the Flyers. As we see Laviolette gets himself open. Oh, and a high stall count there. Disc gets caught on the hands of Mitchell, and it's a throwaway. And now the Soul off and running with the disc. We see more with it here. Will Coach Najee let this D-line group work it in? Looks like he's going to trust him here. Will they repay him with a break? Huge cross field throw there. Now Wiley with the disc. Moore working real hard in the middle. 6, 5. Oh, and it's not going to matter. There's a wide open Broadbeck in the back of the end zone. And he is found by Matthew Armour, and that is 2 straight breaks for the Soul. I'm sorry, that's the first break in a row for the Soul, but 2 straight goals just before the end of this quarter. What a huge play from the Soul D-line.
And that gets them right back in this game. You know, just a minute and a half ago, they're down 5. And here they go again, rattling off 2 straight to get them within 3. Still an uphill battle. But goodness, it's so much more manageable. We're going to have a jump this situation here at the end of the third, if it's even possible. It's going to be 30 for sure, but goodness.
And I apologize, I misspoke there. I had originally said it was Broadbeck. It was actually Jake Reinhardt who was alone in the back of the end zone there. He's been doing a lot of good work on defense for this Soul D-line, and that's his first involvement on offense of the day, and what an involvement that was. So now just 3 seconds left in the quarter here. We'll see what the Soul have drawn up for their end of quarter defense. It looks like they're really going to leave everybody back. So comfortable letting the throw come up from the Flyers as we see it go up. Doesn't look like it's even going to reach the end zone. It's going to have to be a max situation here. But we're able to see the Soul get in there. You know, it looked like between the 6 players they had on the field, there was a cumulative almost 40 feet of hideout there. So it was going to be tough for the Flyers to come down with that one, but end of quarter here. Really exciting third quarter as we see the Soul pull it 1 goal closer. They came into the quarter down 4. They're leaving the quarter down 3. Still everything to play for here in Durham. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with fourth quarter action here between the Flyers and the Austin Soul.
This Saturday night, the UFA South Division playoffs get underway with a familiar matchup. It's Austin and Carolina meeting in the postseason for the 3rd year in a row. Opening polls scheduled for 7 p.m. as the Soul and Flyers fight for the right to face Atlanta in the South Final. It all airs live on WatchUFA.tv.
Welcome back to Durham, North Carolina, here at Durham County Memorial Stadium, where we are all set for fourth quarter action between the Carolina Flyers and the Austin Soul. The Flyers enter the fourth quarter with a 19-16 lead. It's been a high-scoring, high-flying, brutal affair so far as we see maybe the worst poll that we have ever had the privilege of seeing on this broadcast, Josh. That is just, we got to call a spade a spade. That's,
oh my goodness.
that's up there.
How do
you see the fan throwing it back, folks? That fan is a good 25 yards off the field and elevated. Yeah, that is, oof. All right, well, we're back now. You see the Flyers come out with a split stack pull play here off the stoppage, and good defense from the Soul to gum that up. And as we see Jacob Fairfax letting one rip to Terrence Mitchell, My bad, Josh. I blinked, and I missed Mitchell breaking free in the end zone there. What a rip from Fairfax, and Mitchell is able to run it down as the Flyers start the fourth quarter with the hold.
Truthfully, I'm still trying to compose myself a little bit after that opening goal to the fourth, but what a throw from Fairfax to Mitchell. I'm sure the Flyers were equally caught off guard as much as I was on that, but goodness. Lightning strikes quickly when you got Fairfax and Mitchell out there.
And they made it look as easy as possible there. So that throw from Fairfax seems so casual and nonchalant, but that was a 65-yard rip on the nose. So great throw from Fairfax, great cut from Terrence Mitchell, and now the Flyers D-line is out there to see if they can help restore a little bit of the cushion that the Flyers had. We were talking during the break, Josh. Flyers feel like they've taken their foot off the gas a little bit here in the second half.
A little bit. They built up an early lead and have yet to really expound on it with any confidence. The couple of times they've gone up 4 or 5 goals, the Soul climbed their way back in with a quick 2, and it's just kind of been that way. Maybe a bit uncharacteristic out of timeouts, but a huge upfield hammer to a wide open, and it's getting called back again.
I don't know if that's going to be on an offensive foul or on a travel. It did look a little bit like Bowman was pushing off to try and create some separation out of the double team. You know, this is a zoomed out big picture commentary here. I feel like the way that double teams are legislated is a big growth opportunity for the UFA. I think you see a little more physicality there. I think you see probably a little more traveling than usual. Oh, as we see Grayson Sanner slipping in for the block. I'm not sure what the call is there. Foul on the initial throw, I suppose. As we see Sanner maybe selling a little bit of contact there, as we see a foul called on Bowman.
Don't touch Grayson Sanner like that.
We're backing this up. We're just going to spend the rest of the fourth quarter on this sideline, Josh. I think we're going to go back and forth on foul calls here.
Happening down there. It looked like Bowman kind of put a shoulder into the chest of Sanner, the official not liking that at all, trying to gain control of this game again. Still a double team, still same situation. We've gone forwards 10 yards, back 15. We saw a pull in the stands. It's been an eventful 90 seconds here in the fourth.
And also, I'll say this about Grayson Sanner. He is a tremendous player. He's also someone who's not afraid to try and get under his opponent's skin. A little bit of an irritant. Nothing wrong with that. That's the mental game that you play out there as well. But it looks like he got to Bowman there, you know, drawing that foul. As we see just a casual throw from Henke gets swallowed up by Drew Swanson. And now the Flyers, after all the dramatics over here on this near sideline, get the turnover on the far side and have the break opportunity. It looks like there was a call. Not seeing a hand signal, but we're seeing a free 10 yards for the Flyers.
I believe that was Christian Belis on the block.
Okay, my apologies, Christian. And we're seeing some fire here as William Coffin took some exception to the foul from Duncan Fitzgerald there. I will say it didn't look that excessive on first look. I think that's kind of the tipping point of a lot of frustrations here as we'll get another look. Not great look there from that view as we see Coffin just really letting it out there, showing his frustration. I think he's going to get backed up for it. You see our referees trying to get a hold of the emotions that are going on here on the field.
No doubt, and I've got no problem with high emotion. It didn't look like a necessary bid, but nothing super high contact, maybe towards his legs a little bit.
Yeah, and we see we're trying to get some resolution on the clock situation here. I think Coffin, you know, I don't know how tightly this gets legislated, but spiking the disc down like that, probably lucky that it wasn't ruled a turnover.
I thought that as soon as he did it.
Yeah.
That it could have been a turnover, but I guess the disc is dead when the foul gets called.
Sure.
But either way, why take that risk?
Yeah, I understand the frustration, but there's got to be a less risky way to express that. So we do see some smiles on the field here now, so hopefully, you know, cooler heads are going to prevail here and everybody's going to be all right. so much drama for what's effectively been a nothing burger in terms of actual outcome here. So
Not sure what number 8 is the
it does look like Coffin is bleeding, so he's got to take the sub here, which Will Coffin, a very, very capable player on both sides of the disc, but getting a free substitution for offense, never the worst thing if you're coaching an artist, as we see Coffin coming off the field to get his knee wiped up. Get cleaned up so he can go back out there.
Horns down. Coffin says horns down.
We see Saul Yannick comes on.
All right, number 6,
Marshall this
Yannick
break
picks up.
opportunity for the Flyers. Belis gets the disc.
The other Narwhals will be fired up.
Belis with the inside flick,
But the
just
turn
nobody
on
home
Belis.
there. Not sure what the
Bounce
desired
guy out,
outcome
pushing
was,
into
but
the
it
area.
certainly wasn't that. See Radak with the
Number
disc. He's got a
33
target
Radak
streaking
with the
deep.
shot.
Wide open. Is
Belis
the
in the
throw
area.
going to hang enough for him to reel in? As we see Potts tracking it down. Looks like Potts wanted a strip on the play maybe, but that is just a tremendous block from Christian Belis, not giving up on it and getting the disc back from his own turnover. My goodness, what a play from Belis.
The closing speed that he showcased
Over number 7,
on
Grayson Sanders.
that rundown was crazy. He was 5 to 6 yards behind the receiver, and he closed that quickly and was able to beat him to the disc.
The Narwhal of the
Will
game.
certainly beat. This has turned into a bit of a marathon point. And this is where I think we're going to see the heavy legs from being the second end of a doubleheader. As we see Belis floating one out into space for Swanson. Hankey getting involved there, but Swanson is able to mack it to himself, intentionally or not. He comes down with the disc. Matt Tucker now on the goal line as we see the bid coming across from Swiatek, and it's not going to be enough as Tucker is able to find Trevor Lynch at the front cone. I need a breather after that one, Josh. What a point that was, and it ends with a Flyers break.
I mean, I feel like so much has happened in this 4 minutes of play in the fourth quarter. But yes, the Flyers do now go up 5 after what was back and forth. There are a lot of physicality. A couple of great rundowns on defense we're seeing here from Christian Belis, just closing that gap. And then he puts one up to number 15, Drew Swanson, who macks it to himself, able to grab it. And look at the Flyers punching in pretty smoothly after that.
Yeah, I hope we get another look at that block from Belis, because I think Potts was hoping for maybe a strip call there. And it was very close. It was really tight there, but you know, you got to respect Belis making up the ground and showing the hustle there to come down with the block and save possession for the Flyers as we see the pull go out the back of the end zone. You see the disc being walked up here, 20 yards out after the out-of-bounds pull.
Start in the center. Get the break throw.
Nice break throw there to get the disc moving.
Find where it counts.
To number 3, Mark Hankey.
Looking for the center of the field. Finally get a break.
Continuing it to the break side to Faye. Faye going to boost one out to Moore. It's a little bit awkward for Moore as he's looking over his trailing shoulder to try and find it.
Oh!
And just too casual with it there, and what a block that was. I believe that was Weller with the block. Excuse me, John Wellers with the block.
Narwhals on the counterattack. Wide open space.
And the Flyers are
Back to
off and
Sherry.
running.
Working with Williams.
Trevor Lynch with the disc here. Finds Clint McSherry. McSherry coming home to the Flyers after playing a couple of seasons with the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds. Someone who played his college ultimate at UNC Asheville and is very involved in the local ultimate scene. Great to have him back home on the Flyers. And he is trying to marshal this break opportunity for the Flyers D-line, going every other at the moment.
Trying to put a capper on this game.
Moves the disc to Lynch. Lynch has it now, pumps off a couple of deep looks.
Down to Williams.
Chooses to find Cooper Williams here, gets the disc back.
to Lynch.
2 NC State players showing a connection there.
Mataraju now with 15 yards out.
Siraj Mataraju with the disc now, about 15 yards out. Chooses the hammer to Lynch, who finds McSherry. McSherry now has the blade to the back corner of the end zone and puts it right in the chest of Matt Tucker. What a point from Clint McSherry, going every other to marshal in that break for the Flyers. And that all but puts a bow on this one, Josh, as the Flyers go up 6.
And the Flyers finally able to put their foot back on the gas, take control of the game, scoring 3 straight to open up this fourth, to put a commanding and insurmountable lead on the board, 22-16. Heck of a point from Clint McSherry there, getting 7, 8, 9 touches, it felt like, walking the disc up the field the entire way for the Flyers.
Yeah, and just a heartbreaker there for Austin. They had the disc on the goal line. It had a low-ish stall count. Elliot Moore just forcing it into the end zone there. Too tight of a window and is unable to complete it. So you see another turnover for the Soul. And the Flyers clinical and punishing that, going the full distance of the field for their break. You see another big towering pull here as we see the Soul O-line trying to steady the ship. Hankey gets another big under, immediately looking to boost it downfield, but instead back to Radak, who continues it across the field to Kaplan. We see a hanging swing here. Swanson is able to eat it up and cleans up his own trash there. Just too big of a swing throw to be completed as we see Henry Fisher hang one into the end zone for Grayson Sander as Potts is unable to make up that ground. And Fisher finds Sander once again for another break. Those two connecting for the 3rd time today.
And Grayson Sander, after scoring the first 3 goals for the Flyers, finding his way back out there. What a D from Drew Swanson, closing that space on a big floaty around, and a very nice throw from Henry Fisher to Grayson Sander, getting his 4th goal of the game.
Yeah, Grayson Sander took some time off to let his teammates shine, but reminding us all of who he is here as we see him toss one out to the fans and the crowd, and soaking in the moment there. Great play from him, great throw from Fisher, and those 2 players we talked about early on. 2 players we're used to seeing on offense for the Flyers, but as the Flyers tinker with their lines and find the optimal lineups, trying those 2 on defense together, and it's paying dividends for them in this game.
No doubt, and now they are up 7 with this thing just about out of reach for the Soul.
As we see Wiley gets the disc here, looking to continue it upfield, but instead finds Armour, who bounces it quickly. Moore with the disc now. Big pivot, wanted to uncork one, but instead finds a wide open Wiley. Good quick movement here from the Soul. Not what we've seen from them so far. Maybe a little too casual with it there. I'm not sure what the desired outcome was there, but Christian Bielis was happy to scoop up another block as he adds to his total on the game today with his 2nd block, or I believe his 3rd block, excuse me. Now McSherry marshaling another break opportunity. Coffin with the disc. Coffin and McSherry play together at the club level for RDU as we see McSherry try and lead Siraj Mataraju to the back of the end zone, but it's just too far. Siraj is unable to toe the line as McSherry throws him just out the back, and now the Soul have the disc again with the full 80 to go for a hold.
Siraj Shore tried to drag his foot there, and it just took him a little bit too far, dragging out of the back of the end zone.
As we see Oliver Fay just boosting one there to Reinhardt. Reinhardt landing just short. Little casual there. He was almost with the chance for another block. Manages to avoid the contact on Hankey. And Reinhardt is able to find Hankey for the hold. Wasn't the prettiest from the Soul, but they all count the same on the scoreboard as they managed to pull it back within 6.
They sure do. Unfortunate for the Flyers there with Machuri leading Siraj just a little too far. We're going to see Christian Bielis with another block here. Probably his easiest one of the day. Right to him.
Yeah, a little bit of a gift, but he had to be in the position to accept that gift,
doubt.
and he was. As we see, yeah, it did look like Mataraji by the time the disc was in his hand. He started towing it inbounds, but I think by the time the disc met his hand, he was out of bounds there. Great effort, but unable to reel it in. As we see Bielis just omnipresent at the moment, involved in every play, almost gets another block. You see the attempted roller pull from the Soul, but Youngst is able to pounce on it quickly and Flyers already have it all the way on the opposite sideline before this Soul defense has a chance to even get set.
Narwhal's currently leading by 6. Plenty of time.
Bit of a no-mark strategy there from the Soul. Seeing if they can trick the Flyers into a false sense of security to attempt to throw. That's ill-advised, with the Flyers showing very level heads here. Patiently working the disc up the field. They've already got it around midfield. We're under the 4-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. Flyers content to just continue swinging the disc, moving it around, finding the wide open teammate, casually working it towards the end zone. We see the Soul now start to tighten up a little bit, but Bloodworth is able to sneak free for the reset. Continues it up the line to Laviolette, and Laviolette has Long streaking open there. Long tries to step through for it, but it does look like there is a foul there. I think the defender knew exactly what he was doing on that foul, slowing the momentum there. As we see Long now with the disc center. Throws a blade, tries to throw, I think that might have been a no-look attempt, and throws a turnover. And just no need.
No need. No need. Mike, the wheels on the bus are no longer going round and round. They have fallen off of this game.
I believe, yep, they have
It is this game, for all intents and purposes, is over. The Flyers are going to come out victorious, but you still don't want to see that type of decision making, especially when on the goal line. Just didn't feel necessary, or just why?
Yeah, we'll get another look at it here from Long.
All right.
And it wasn't even a no-look. I think he was actually looking, and you see Yunks right away, like, throwing the hands up, like, what are you doing, man? And, like, look, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, that turnover's not really going to matter, but the Flyers have been pretty lax in the second half. It looks like they're playing with their food a little bit. And, like, you just want to kind of build good habits all the way to the finish line, right? Like, respect your opponent by playing focused and playing hard all the way to the final whistle, and not messing around.
You play for 48 minutes. That's what we have. Play for all 48 and just push the entire time. Don't create those bad habits that may come back later. Work on your craft.
You see a violation from the Soul on the tap in here. Radak backed up 10 yards into his own end zone. Been a tough day at the office for Jake Radak. Just 1 goal, no assists to go with his 5 turnovers. We see still working hard, still heavily involved here as he throws the around. Potts. Potts has to throw the big swing around to Hankey. This Flyers defense is doing a really good job of taking away the initial reset look and forcing the Soul to throw big resets, as we see McSherry getting involved there and forcing the drop from the Soul on the lackadaisical hammer. And guess who? It's Henry Fisher to Grayson Sander once again. Those two connect for the 4th time in this game. All 4 times it's Fisher feeding Sander for a break for the Flyers.
And Sander piling on another goal. That is his 5th of the game, leading this Flyers team in goals. Unforced error again with the over-the-top throw that you had mentioned, Mike, that the Flyers defense was doing a nice job at causing, and there we see Grayson Sander open after a nice cut.
And I called that a break. It felt like a break, but that's because of the timeout call. They got the Flyers D-line out there, so they get the hold. It's the D-line getting the hold, and you saw Grayson Sander waving bye to his defender. Just nothing this Austin team has been able to do with Sander so far.
And we're seeing a huge goal from Will Coffin come crashing in the back of the end zone.
Roller and this center.
Disc with the Soul right now, still in their own end zone, but they're able to find Hankey. He works it out to Reinhardt. Reinhardt uncorks one to Fay. Fay versus Coffin. They're battling for it. Great positioning from Fay.
Grab by number 41.
Coffin looked like he was asking for a call a little bit, but that was just really good body work from Fay. As we see just a couple throws later, Switek gets open for Broadbeck, and that is a hold for the Soul. Really nice work from Fay to come down with that deep shot.
And you saw Coffin trying to fight through the body of Fay, just unable to get into any sort of defensive position. No call needed. Just a great play from Fay. We're going to see it here. You're going to see him command the space and not really give Coffin any opportunity to make a play on the disc.
And you saw Coffin asking for it, but that was just textbook physicality from Fay. Didn't really see an extension or a push of the arms or anything, just using his lower body strength to displace Coffin and create the better line at the disc. And you know, that's one of the many reasons why we train so hard for this sport and work out so hard, is to have the strength to maintain your place or to dislodge others. And Fay doing a really nice job of playing within the rules but using physicality to his advantage to come down with that disc.
And yes, there was a lot of physical contact there, but like you said, like no full extension, just displacing the man. I liked how you said that.
Absolutely. You see the Flyers now able to get that roller pole off of the sideline, working it over to this near side now. Laviolette has the disc, finds Mitchell wide open. Looks off a slashing Bloodworth, but eventually comes back around to him. Bloodworth doing a good job doing the disc quickly off of that sideline as Wilcox. Wilcox airs one out to Laviolette, who's got about 10 yards of space on his matchup. And Dradowski's not going to be able to reel that in as Laviolette just runs past him. And, you know, in a jump disc situation, I think Dradowski is heavily favored there. But in a foot race, Laviolette's going to win that every single time.
That's a really nice throw from Wilcox, who's kind of had an up and down game. But nice to see him close this one out with an absolute dart of a flick to Laviolette, streaking in the end zone with, like you said, like about 10, 15 yards of space. No real contest. Take a look at what Laviolette has done tonight.
Yeah, Laviolette just piling up the stats, contributing both in throwing and receiving yards, goals, and assists. He's doing it all right now for the Flyers, and that one was maybe the easiest of the bunch. So with 1:16 left, Austin has an opportunity to see if they can pull one more back, get one more hold here. Looking like a last-second substitution for Austin. Been a tough battle for Austin here tonight. Obviously missing Evans, coming off a back-to-back. Coach Najee, you know, was clear about not using this as an excuse, but did say there was some illness going through the team here tonight. Some players playing at less than 100%, but they've battled hard here. I think they've got some takeaways from this game, also some learning experiences. They'll be hoping to see the Flyers again in the playoffs and see if they can give them a tighter battle than this and hopefully come out on top. Let's see if they can end their road trip with a punctuation mark here. Pull one more goal in as we're under a minute left in this contest. Tough grab there from Bowman, and he immediately airs it out. Great read there from Brandon Dial. Dial seeing if he can find a teammate, and he's got wide open on this near sideline is Switek. Switek quietly having a bit of a monster game on the score sheet. That's his 7th goal of the game. Dial with his first assist. And the Soul able to pull another one back, continuing to battle to the last whistle.
And I like to see that. You know, you're down 6, you're down 7, but you're still fighting for all 48 minutes of this game. Dial there with a great read and grab, finding Switek. Like you said, he's been filling up the sheet. He's got 7 goals, 1 assist, accounting for 8 of their 19 goals, which we expected and talked about early on that we'd see him often on both sides of the disc, and we sure have.
Yeah, Switek was our spotlighted player before the game even started, and he's proven worthy of that spotlight so far, and you love to see the spirit from this Austin team, and you know, simulating an end-of-game situation that could be occurring with a tighter score in the future, trying to create those high-quality reps for themselves. The Flyers trying to practice icing out a game, seeing if they can close it. As you see, just a casual throw from Laviolette gets tipped, but Bloodworth all over that one is able to clean up the trash, and he gets it to Youngs, who finds Mitchell, who goes back to Youngs. Flyers seeing if they can just milk this one out now, under 20 seconds. Mitchell, though, not content to just kill the clock. He's able to find Laviolette on this near side of the end zone, and Laviolette just adding another goal to his monster game that he has going on right now. Terrence Mitchell picking up the assist.
And that almost felt accidental from Terrence Mitchell to Allie and Laviolette. He just kind of kept drifting into space as the throws came along and then found himself standing perfectly still 5 yards into the end zone. Why not get another one on the board?
So 12 seconds left here for Austin. We'll see if they try and boost one to the end zone or if they're comfortable just coasting this game out. But we're pretty much wrapped up here. It's been a pretty dominant showing by the Flyers as they are going to extend their lead at the top of the South Division. They're 5-0 this year after tonight, but they're picking up quality wins. 2 wins over Atlanta, 2 wins over Austin. They have all but sealed up first place in the South Division with this win tonight.
No doubt, and they can continue to grow too as this team develops. There's a lot of young guys on the team this year, so getting these reps in these high leverage situations is really, really important for them. So that's why taking every point as seriously as possible and not playing with your food is crucial for this team.
Yeah, and doing well against a front-loaded schedule like this does give the Flyers the freedom to be a little more development focused in some of their later games as they can make sure they're hitting top gear for the entire roster. As we see Jacob Fairfax showing off the hops a little bit there to clean up the buzzer beater, not content to just let up another goal there as he elevates to come down with the block, and that's gonna send us to our final whistle here as that failed buzzer beater attempt does wrap things up here with the Flyers winning 26-19 over Austin. We'll take a look at the final stats of the game here in a minute, but Josh, just observationally, what's your biggest takeaway from this game?
Observationally, the Flyers were the better team tonight, start to finish, and they proved it as well. They never really let the soul get into this game, and that was early and often from the opening pole to the end of this game, winning this by 7 in dominating fashion. Taking a look here, the turnovers, obviously the thing that stands out to me most, along with those offensive possessions. The Flyers just much more efficient on offense.
Yeah, and we talked about it a couple times in the game too, the hold percentages for these teams. Austin well underneath their season average. They came into this game with a 72.6% hold rate, fell under 50% in this game, holding just 16 out of their 33 possessions, whereas the Flyers continuing their strong work. Their season average on holds was about 73%. They held pretty close to that number here today. Just a really strong, convincing showing from the Flyers as they get ready now, as they've finished their season series against the Soul, won both their games, both on the road last weekend and here tonight against the Soul. They'll have some games against the rest of the Southern Division as well as some games in between other divisions, but good stuff here tonight. The Flyers, I think, solidify themselves as the favorites in the South Division.
No doubt. They improved to 5-0, and they've won against every team in the South Division that they've played so far, 4-0, like you said. So going into this second half of their season, giving an opportunity to work with their full roster and giving some guys a chance to play, it's only going to be good for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff as you see Grayson Sanner, I think, winning player of the game, getting the stuffed narwhal there as we see getting the championship belt from his teammates as well. Just a really strong night there from Grayson Sanner. So I think that's going to do it for us here in Durham, and we're going to put a wrap up on tonight. Great game, really entertaining game, lots of highlights from both teams. Check out all the other action around the UFA. Tune in on watchufa.tv to check out all of that action around the league. But we're going to call it a night here in Durham, North Carolina. I'm Mike Ball on behalf of Josh Verdure. Thank you for joining us tonight. Carolina Flyers 26, Austin Soul 19.
Be good, everybody.
Have a good night.
This Saturday night, the UFA South Division playoffs get underway with a familiar matchup. It's Austin and Carolina meeting in the postseason for the 3rd year in a row. Opening poll scheduled for 7 p.m. as the Soul and Flyers fight for the right to face Atlanta in the South Final. It all airs live on watchufa.tv.